When you have a history of greatness, the real challenge starts after the finish line.
I can taste triumph with the heart of a lion.
When victory alone isn't enough, you chase something greater, no matter how difficult the path. On the dirt, in the sand, and beyond. The new 2024 Ridgeline Passport and Pilot, part of our most rugged trail sport lineup yet. From Honda.
Bayou Time Sports is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health Systems Community Sports Institute in conjunction with Barker Honda.
All right, we're back. No, it's not a rerun. We have Coach Kyle Lasseigne of the Eddie White Cardinals back on the set just prior to our Sports on the Bayou show, which he will be a guest along with his coaches and some of the administration from Eddie White are going to be here. So in case, once again, you hear a little noise in the background, they'll be coming in for the show that we'll tape with Bobby Hebert, Mike Detillier, Stan Gravo, Harry McCullough, myself, and others. Rich Morty will be here. So just letting you know, you may hear some noise. Coach, good to see you again.
Good to be back, man. Good to be back.
I tell you what, this is getting to be routine. You've had a program where people are bought into the program. It looks like now it's expected. Mm-hmm. And if you fall short of it, people get disappointed. But you're going back to state. Mm-hmm. You've been there before. So this time around, you know how to handle it probably a little better. But if we're going to be honest, nerves are nerves. And whenever you're going to state, you still want to win it. So
absolutely,
you get a little nerves. You're going against a Shaw team that hasn't seen the state finals, I think, in 16 years, but they have some pedigree. They know what it's about. First of all, let's sort of recap the game against Xavier Ford and that crew. Mm-hmm. What a man at running back. But just being on ground level and seeing the game, y'all were hitting him hard. You were hitting him with multiple players. But if I had to say a man at the high school level, he definitely was a man. But he knew he was in a game.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's the best he's been defended all year. Mm-hmm. Came in with just crazy stats. And our kids took that as a challenge, really. I thought our linebackers and safeties really played well because you had to have some secondary support to bring him down. And most of the time there were multiple guys around him. And the biggest thing in the game when you look back at it with him specifically is there were no big plays. You know, he got his chunks. He got his 3, 4, 10 every now and then, but he didn't get those chunk plays where he breaks one for 80 or something like that. So we made them drive the field. We knew they were going to try to throw the football a little bit. So we played that really well early in the game and made them really one-dimensional. I don't know how many carries he had, but he had the ball a lot in his hands. And you could just see how physical a runner he was. He kind of got stronger as the game was going on. But, you know, by that time, offensively, we had performed well and the game was out of hand.
He was one of those running backs, Coach, that did not want to go down under any circumstances. Yeah. He must have a lot of pride. Must be one of those players that people look at. Y'all had him on the Cecil record. That was a big thing. I think he needed 130 something. I'm not sure the exact amount, but y'all had him there, of course, when y'all subbed and put a lot of extra players in when the game was over. He got it, but I don't think he would have got it if you'd have kept your starters in. But at that point, you wasn't worried about the record. You were trying to get some people some experience.
Look, I'll be in speaking with the kid and his coaches and that entire football team. Leesville was a class act. From the first day I spoke with their coach, and in speaking with Xavier Ford, a great kid, just a great kid. All of them said, go win it. You know, they all were really, really good sports about this. And so if any kid was going to break that record, I'm glad he did. That whole, you know, the offensive linemen all were really quality players, but really complimentary of our football team. And that's really what high school sports is about. You know, that competition, and after competition, it's done and we move on. So I was really proud of our kids' efforts, but I was really proud of Leesville as well.
You know, I have to say this because I'm going back to memory when we played against Blake McDonald and Lindley, and just, that's my first recollection really of Edie White, except from when I was a young child going to the big games. But there's just always been this competitive spirit that's inbred in the players. And I think y'all enhance it, but they got to have it before they hit the football field, sort of inbred in the family. And I see it with other teams, but I've seen it consistently with Edie White over the years. It's just a breed of football players that, God, I said the word before, they might be the nicest guys off the field, but they're mean when they're on the field. It's good to have that as a coach, isn't it?
Yeah, you don't have that everywhere. Kids are different these days, and when you can find those types of kids in a place like Edie White, makes it easy to coach. It really does. There's not a ton of motivation that you have to do to get the kids to play the game. You don't have to go search them in the hall and convince them to play football, which some coaches obviously have to do. They want to be a part of the program. And we identify those kids really early in 8th grade, those kids that really compete hard. And then you kind of project where they're going to be as they get older. But we just seem to have that. And I think that's a community thing. I think that's maybe a Thibodeau thing. And it's also an Edie White thing. Historically, as you go back and you talk about these people that played in the same manner, I think our kids just learn from that. They learn from that. They see that. And we've said this a lot. Football has changed a lot over the years, but it's still about blocking and tackling, and you got to have some heart to do that. That just doesn't come naturally to everybody. So I think our kids just have that. Of course, we try to advance that as they go through the program, but it's just something in our kids. I think that's special. It makes our place a special place.
What we'll do when we come back, we'll meet the players. They go on a state, so I think they need a little airtime. We'll talk about that, and I know you're bringing a lot of coaches on for the show today. But we'll do this. We'll take a break right now. When we come back with Coach Kyle Lasseigne, we'll talk a little football because Shaw's got some pretty good players that are going to go Division I, and they're pretty talented. So definitely this isn't one of those cakewalk games. These are two very talented teams. Shaw's been on top for most of the year. We'll talk about that, and we'll meet the Edie White players when we come back. Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your health is our legacy. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights.
Bayou Time Sports is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health Systems Community Sports Institute in conjunction with Barker Honda.
All right, we're back with talking with Coach Kyle Lasseigne. They're going to be going to the Dome on Friday. And they're going to be playing for a state championship, noon kickoff. And that's a little different, Coach. I mean, some people were asking me this week, how their players going to, how their students going to be able to go to the game because the game's at 12 noon. I said, trust me, those students will be put on a bus or something. They may check in, they go into the game, and how can you stop students from going to the state championship?
Yeah, it's exciting. It's been exciting around school. 12 o'clock kickoff changes a lot of things that you do. And the Superdome schedule is so locked in. It's minute by minute. There's certain things that you have to do, certain places you have to be. So we're going to start the day early at 6:30 with mass in our gym. And then we're going to go have breakfast and then enjoy maybe our families a little bit and then get on the bus and head to New Orleans. And then we can get in the Dome at about 10 o'clock. And then 2 hours later, you're kicking the ball off. So it's kind of jam-packed.
That's different, too. And do you have to get the play? Well, I'm so Shaw's in the same boat. But do you have to get them acclimated to the fact that, okay, you better wake up early and you better get your biscuits and coffee early because you're kicking off at noon.
Yeah, it's definitely a change. So we're trying to handle that for them and not make them have the opportunity to make a mistake in that respect. So hydration and nutrition is going to be key. getting them out of the bed, moving around, and then on the bus, and then into the dome. One thing that you used to be able to do is you used to be able to go practice at the dome the day before. Well, that's not a thing anymore. So getting used to the environment, the lights, those kinds of things, we're going to try to do as quickly as we can once we get there.
I know people are going to say, well, it's a turf field. Edie White's got a turf field. There's different types of turf.
Yeah,
Is
definitely.
this a different turf?
I think it's different. It's a little longer, a little thicker. I've been told that hydration is an issue. You would think that it's not because it's indoor, but a lot of people start cramping up on that kind of turf. So we got to hydrate correctly throughout the week. And, it's climate controlled, but the field's going to be lined off as a high school field, not a professional field. So the hash marks will be, the goalposts are obviously a little narrower,
Yeah.
but, all those things, we prepare for. I think they're secondary things, but the kids, they have to know about them at least.
Let's do this. A lot of players on your team. We thought they all deserved to be recognized. So let's roll in the players from Edie White who are going to the finals again in a few years, and let's give them a little recognition. Here they are.
Ben Blanchard, O-line.
Hux Blanchard, D tackle.
Tommy Bauer, offensive line.
Colin Champagne, wide receiver.
Jake Carrier, O-line.
Ben Guidry, slot.
Zach Ewan, center.
Bryce Hawley, weak safety.
Jackson Hebert, cornerback.
Philip Hillman, tight end. Hudson Oncal, left guard.
Greg Page, D-end.
Cooper Passman, D tackle.
Ty Powell, kicker.
Tyler Pritchard, DN. Max Richard, O-line.
Benjamin Rodrigue, running back.
Aiden Saunier, wide receiver.
MJ Sternfels, linebacker.
Adam Talbot, D tackle.
Nate Thompson, free safety.
Jack Strish, strong safety.
Luke Trotty, defensive end.
Evan Weber, cornerback. Luke Zarang, cornerback.
Seth Andrews, D tackle.
Cooper Andrews, offensive line.
Evan Arsma, cornerback.
Landon Babin, safety.
Trey Babin, offensive line.
Grant Barbera, quarterback. Marcel Benoit, long snapper.
Chris Bourgeois, weak safety.
Charlie Dietrich, linebacker.
Carter Douglas, running back.
Alden Fields, linebacker.
Parker Hema, cornerback.
Harrison Jones, D-line.
Jonathan Lee, DN.
Carter Myers, strong safety.
Chase Knockham, receiver.
Joseph Pisciola, offensive line.
Owen Porsche, cornerback.
Jackson Riche, safety.
Philip Root, D-line.
Hudson Semino, right tackle.
Hayes Tabor, tight end.
Owen Blanchard, quarterback.
Ray Bajon, safety. Matthew Bouvier, defensive tackle. John Boudreaux, cornerback.
Isaiah Covington, linebacker.
Trip Darden, wide receiver.
Owen English, running back.
Thomas Foray, defensive end.
Roy Gravois, linebacker.
Paul Groh, linebacker.
Grant Guidry, offensive line.
Maddox Skidrows, defensive end.
Landon Hemo, receiver.
John Jackson, cornerback.
Cade Kleber, offensive line.
Reese LaFont, receiver.
Charles Osser, linebacker.
Colin Mabel, offensive line.
Owen Martinez, defensive tackle.
Harrison Allcow, O-line. Alexander Perkle, defensive end.
Andrew Robichaux, linebacker.
Quinn Sternfels, safety.
Ashton Saunier, wide receiver.
Ethan Saunier, defensive tackle.
Brock Wanko, O-line.
Matthew Zarang, defensive end.
All right, we're back. We want to make sure they got a little recognition. We thank Robbie Bowers. And, boy, I wish every school had a Robbie Bowers to help us out with that. He's great for y'all, and it's great to have that kind of
Definitely.
the resource. But your defensive backs have really been impressive me, and it seems like they great athletes back there.
Yeah, they can
Not
run.
the biggest guys in the world.
Yeah.
But they're good athletes.
They can run a little bit. And we shuffle guys around to try to get the best fit of the guys that we thought could play. And we think, 5 or 6 of those guys can can step on the field for most teams. So there's been a good matchup for us. And recently we've had success, I think, because you have to have guys that can run in the secondary. We had that this year.
We'll come back for another segment, but the two ball boys, I was messing with them the whole game. I'm going like, okay, you can be playing one day? He goes, well, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's sort of, I was a ball boy for Coach Alba way back when I wanted to play in the varsity. And in the 8th grade, he said, we need you to be a ball boy. Well, I got to hang out with the older.
Absolutely.
And that's a great feeling.
It is.
And then they're going to grow up and they're going to be players.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back to wrap things up with Coach Kyle Lasseigne, Edie White, going to the finals. They're going to the Dome, kickoff Friday at noon. Hey, look, I don't care what school you go to in the area. Go over there and enjoy some football, man, and support the local team. It'll be a great game. We'll see you right after the break. Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your health is our legacy. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights.
Bayou Time Sports is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health Systems Community Sports Institute in conjunction with Barker Honda.
All right, we are back. Martin Foss here with Coach Kyle Lasseigne, and Edie White is going to the state finals. They will be playing Friday at noon in the Dome. And Coach just turned into it on this last segment. We can talk X's and O's, but the bottom line is y'all going to be studying them on tape. They're studying y'all on tape. There's no 16 millimeter film anymore. They got access to everything y'all do. They're watching Robbie Barr's feed. They're watching our highlights on HTV. They know what y'all do. Y'all know what they do. It all comes down again to execution and turnovers.
Absolutely. It's execution. That's number one. Coach Tierney, who's the head coach at Shaw, used to run triple option offense long time ago. I'm sure he knows how to defend it. We're going to have a game plan in to stop them offensively. And it's really going to come down to those times where you have to execute, you have to come up with a big play. And, of course, special teams is always key in a game like this. And we usually have an advantage in that respect, but their kicker's really, really good as well. So maybe that evens out a little bit. And then turnovers. You can't turn the ball over against these guys because anytime their offense is on the field, they're a threat to score. So those things are going to be key. It's really not any different than a normal Friday night. Those guys remind me about, like Lutcher. They seem to play physical, sound defense, and they got threats all over the place on offense.
Are they big on the line?
Yeah, they got some good size. But man, their skill guys are just outstanding. Running back, quarterback, receiver. Two of those three are going to play at Michigan. So they got some talent there, and then defensively, they just run really well.
But you've always been able to find a way to key in on the key plays you need to stop. Y'all have done a good job of that over the years. I'm sure it's no different. It's going to come down to execution as part of stopping the guys you need to stop. But that's always been some people, when they get under the lights, they crumble. Your guys seem to get under the lights and they got a little moxie with them.
Yeah, I think we're going to be ready to go in that respect. It's going to take a lot of discipline, a lot of eye discipline defensively, especially to play what we know they want to run. And as soon as you're not disciplined with your eyes, then they could hit a big play. So that's really key. I hope the moment's not too big for our kids. I have no indication that it will be. But I had a kid right after the game come up to me and say, Coach, do you realize that the place that we're going to be playing on Friday is the place where they play some Super Bowls? And I said, so the kids recognize that. They realize the importance of being able to go play at the Superdome, and they realize the history of the Superdome, and then we're going to be walking on the turf. What I hope happens is that they're mesmerized for about 5 minutes, and then they're ready to go play football.
But I guess that's the job of the coaching staff to try to tone that down a little bit.
Yeah, and we've talked about that. We had a team meeting yesterday to talk about every aspect of the game and what I expect of them, sportsmanship-wise, from the time we get on the bus to the time we get home. So those things have been discussed. They know what my expectations are. I expect them to do the right things, and I expect them to, at some point between this point and Friday, to recognize that it is simply another football game. You've earned this right to be here. Now treat it that way. Treat it like it is another football game. And then after, if you win the football game, then we'll order rings for you. You know, and that's the true difference in the game. So we can't control that other stuff. Let's control what we do on the field.
You know, I always had a running bet with everybody that the football teams, and I did it for other sports too, when they win state, I got to cook them a steak. To be honest, I hope we can fill this room in, and I'm cooking a lot of steaks.
I hope so, man.
For kids, it'd be great for the area.
I really believe that. And look, the excitement in the area is just something that it's palpable right now. It's everybody wanting a piece of your time. Everybody really excited about us playing in a dome, and it's not just Edie White people. It's people across the community. So, man, I just hope, and I say this all the time, but I truly believe this. I just hope we go and represent our community well, and give our people something to be proud of.
Yeah, and I've often said, I used to ask restaurant owners in town, you got a restaurant opening right next to you, what do you think? They love it because the more people go and eat, they get some overflow. And it's same way in sports in an area. If one team's doing well, it makes everybody else go, all right, we got to step up our game. It makes the whole thing work a little better.
I agree. That stepping up is a big part of it. And it's part of 7 years ago, what I thought we had to do as a program. We got to catch up with people, you know. If we're going to play with the St. Thomas Moors at the time, that's who our guys were. I mean, we better close the gap some kind of way.
Well, now they're trying to catch up with you guys.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we made some strides.
Coach, congratulations. Great year. Hopefully y'all can close it out on Friday, and we'll see you there.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Coach Lasseigne. We'll see him Friday at the Dome. Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your health is our legacy. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bourke, know your rights.